Well, here we are in the middle of July 2025, and it's time for another market update for the Lakewood Ranch area. Hello, it's MarkBoehmig with Michael Saunders and Company. So today I wanted to go over what is going on here in the market for Lakewood Ranch. And then at the end, I'm going to show you two different homes on the same street in the same neighborhood with two totally different outcomes when it came time for them to sell their property. So let's get into the numbers of what actually took place at the end of June 2025 for Lakewood Ranch. And as you know, I do usually break this up into zip codes for 34202 and 34211, and then I do an MLS map search for all the properties located within Lakewood Ranch. So let me show you what we're seeing so far this year. At the end of June, we had a total of 699 homes that were on the market. 119 of those went pending, and a total of 140 of those were sold. So you can see the number of solds was down just a little bit, as well as the number of pending homes. Next, what about pricing? Well, this is an eye-opener here. We were at $299 a square foot for those two zip codes. Now, that is just for single-family homes. And towards the end, I'm going to show you the last time we were at that price level. But right now, $299 a square foot is what they averaged out to for the two zip codes, 34202 and 34211. So where are we on days on market? Well, the days on market, as you know, as the inventory goes up, the days on market gets longer, and so we were on a total of 99 days for the average sale to take place, with 90% list price to sell price ratio during that time frame. So what about our pricing? So the average list price for our area for those two zip codes was $942,000. The average sale price was $817,000. But look at that, the median price at $703 is holding pretty steady. It was up just a little bit from the previous month. Inventory is still quite high. We're at 5 months of inventory, not the max of 6.3 that you can see in this chart, but at the end of June, we had 5 months of inventory. This right here is what's driving a lot of this, the interest rates. We're still at a little over 6.7%, and you can see for the last 3 months, for the last 3 weeks, that average has held pretty steady, close to 6.8% for the mortgage rates. So if I do a map search in MLS of all the areas in Lakewood Ranch, that gives me a good idea of what things are listing for, what they're selling for. The problem with the MLS search is it's very difficult to keep my history like I can with the other format about just breaking it down into the zip codes. But if you look at this, we had about 532 homes that were in that particular area that were active on the market. And then the number of pendings was 91. So we had 91 in that area went under contract. And then the actual number of sales for this area was 146. And if you look, it was $303 a square foot, very close to that $299. So we're seeing it's basically about the same for the zip code or for the Lakewood Ranch overlay. Now, the $299 a square foot, I think it's very important to realize that the last time that we saw it down this low was back around February of 2022. And then a little bit into December of 21 was when we were at a low of $299 a square foot. So you can see how they jumped up during the pandemic, and now things are tapering off. And then what about the average days on market? Well, this is the highest average days we've seen in the past 5 years. So even back in June of 20, it was just under 90. And like I said, it's at 99 days on market at the end of June of 2025. So I want to give you an example of pricing and timing. So, you know, timing is everything, no matter whether it's in stocks, whether it's in houses, relationships, anything, timing is everything. So there's a house in Country Club East on Kendallshire Terrace. And I want to show you what they paid for the house and what they just recently sold it for. So these people bought this house for $776,000 at the end of 2019. Well, they are moving to a condo into the Sarasota area, so they needed to put it up for sale. So in January of this year, they listed it for $1.795. So they had to steadily decrease it until they got it to a price where they could get it under contract. So if you look here in May of this year, they went under contract at $1,619,000, and it ended up closing about 3 weeks ago for $1,550,000. So if you look at it from just an investment standpoint of paying $776 and selling it for $1,550,000, they did pretty well, even after you take out the commissions at the dock stamps on the deed, which Manatee County charges whenever you sell a home. But let's take another example. Let's look at this house that is also on Kendallshire Terrace in Country Club East. So you have the same street, the same neighborhood, and I want to show you what the difference in timing on this makes. So these people bought this house in November of 24. So then they decided to put it on the market. So in January of 25, they listed it at 265, then they dropped it. Then they canceled it with that agent and thought they would try someone else. So a new agent came in, they made some changes on the inside of the house. In June of this year, it went pending at 2.35, and then it closed just a couple of days ago at 2.2. So you can see they bought it around 2.4, sold it at a loss at 2.2, and paid the commissions on that, whatever those were, and then also the dock stamps on the deed. So you can see that they bought this and then they sold it really not even a year later, but because they didn't hold on to it long enough and because they bought it towards a higher price point in the market, they have not done as well. So that just goes to show you money is not everything when people have a desire to move. There's no telling why these people moved. You don't know if it's the neighborhood, if it's the neighbor, if it's a death, if it's divorce, if it's grandchildren. All those kind of reasons make people want to move. And the idea of moving and getting out is higher than the desire for making a profit. So these people elected to take that route, and unfortunately, they didn't fare as well as what other people have if they had bought several years ago. So as I've said many times on this channel, real estate is expensive to get in and out of. You need to be able to buy and hold. And when you cannot do that for a good length of time, then it becomes much more difficult to make a profit on the proceeds from selling your property. So when you get ready to make your move, whether you're selling or buying here in the Lakewood Ranch area, I'd be honored to talk to you about what that process might look like. Now, also, we've started a new channel called Relocation is Your Move, and I'll put a link to that right up here. But if you have decided to move from a different area, from one location to another, we have qualified agents all across the U.S. and the globe that we can hook you up with to make that transition much easier for you. It's always better to deal with an agent from a referral basis than it is for a cold call to some unknown agent that you might not be familiar with. So I hope you got value out of this video. If you did, just click that subscribe button and leave your comments below. I love listening to what the viewers have to say about the market update for the Lakewood Ranch area. I know a lot of you think, well, it's going down the tubes. Well, I don't think that that's really going to happen. There's too much equity in a majority of the homes here for that to happen. So anyway, I'd love to hear your comments and feedback. Mark Boehmig, Michael Saunders and Company.